Hello and welcome to Diabetes Connections in the News. I'm Stacey Sims, and these are the top diabetes stories and headlines of the past 7 days. All sources are linked up at diabetes-connections.com when this airs as a podcast. The news is brought to you by the world's worst diabetes mom, real-life stories of parenting a child with type 1 diabetes, winner of Best New Nonfiction at the American Book Fest, and named a Book Authority Best Parenting Book, available in paperback, ebook, or audiobook at Amazon. Our top story, interesting look at whether a treatment for leukemia might work against type 1. Very early on here, but AVM Biotechnology has received a grant to find out. The drug doesn't have a name yet. It's referred to as AVM0703, and it has been shown to delay T1D in the lab. A preclinical dose-finding study in 3 scenarios, including pre-diabetic, new onset, and established diabetes is the first aim here. Those results will be used to determine the targeted dose for the next study to look at reversal of new onset and established diabetes. It's anticipated that for patients not showing remission, AVM0703 may reinforce other immunotherapies, allowing a wider range of patients to achieve insulin independence. Another study showing Black patients with type 1 faced a significant higher frequency of diabetic ketoacidosis during the pandemic, and particularly during surges. This was a big study at several different health centers and hospitals. Researchers found there was not a significant difference in the number of patients in DKA from 2019 versus 2020, but there was a higher proportion of Black patients. And it was significant, 48% versus 18%. Pandemic surges emphasized the disparity even more. These researchers say their work shows racial inequalities in diabetes care were present before the pandemic, starkly visible during the pandemic, and will continue to persist after, unless, quote, we systematically root out and target racial inequalities in diabetes care. A new look at the transition from pediatric to adult care for people with type 1 shows it needs improvement. This research, based on interviews with older adolescents, showed many felt unprepared and dissatisfied with the transition process. 3 big takeaways: the teens are aware of the changing relationship with their parents and healthcare teams, and often want more independence than the parents are willing to give. The teens want acknowledgement that being diagnosed at different ages means they may be more or less comfortable with self-management. And the third is they think their pediatric teams aren't preparing them to work with adult providers. Personally, this means a lot to me as my son is 17, and I'll be asking his peds endo to work with him more on this stuff, and we'll be doing more at home in the next couple of years. Diabetes Wise announces the launch of its new Pro website. This is an unbranded, non-biased resource created at Stanford University to help make providers more informed about diabetes devices. We've talked about Diabetes Wise before. I'll link it up. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by the evolving choices. Patients feel this way. Providers can be in the same situation. Diabetes Wise Pro has an extensive diabetes device library where providers can learn about all of the FDA-approved devices on the market. The users can compare devices from different manufacturers using tools and build a comparison report to share with patients, colleagues, and community. They continue to add newly improved devices, and there are Spanish language versions of the Checkup and Device Finder sections. They got FDA approval in February. Now the Eversense 6-month CGM is rolling out to patients. This is the device that goes under your arm. It is fully embedded in an outpatient procedure. A transmitter stuck to the skin over the sensor reads the data, transmits the information to a smartphone, and provides vibration alerts for changes in blood sugar. The price is set at $99 out of pocket for the first transmitter and sensor, and then it's $600 for the first 6 months, but they space it out at $100 per month. More information, again, is linked up with this episode. Dexcom One gets a big rollout in the UK. We've also talked about this a couple of times in the past. Dexcom One is the same Dexcom technology as G6, but it's a bit pared down, and it is at lower cost. This news comes as the National Institute for Health and Care Excellence announced new guidance for adults and children managing type 1. This is again the UK, and they're recommending that adults with type 1 be offered a choice of glucose sensors. G6 is already offered there, G7 will be as well, but this is about National Health Service coverage. The pared down Dexcom One is the only system under consideration there. Some front office news around the community. Stem cell pioneer Doug Melton is leaving Harvard to join Vertex Pharmaceuticals. Not entirely unexpected. Melton's company Semma was purchased by Vertex, and they are moving ahead towards stem cell transplantation as a functional cure for type 1. Sema, by the way, was named after Melton's 2 adult children who live with type 1, Sam and Emma. Beyond Type 1 names Deborah Dugan as CEO. She replaces Tom Shear, who died suddenly and unexpectedly in December. Dugan was previously the CEO of RED, the not-for-profit organization founded by U2's Bono and Bobby Shriver to raise awareness in the fight against AIDS. Dugan has been recognized as one of the 100 most powerful women by Forbes, top woman to help change the world by Elle, and as a Nelson Mandela changemaker. And finally, congratulations to Leo and Alana Folsom, who welcome a baby boy. The couple was on a recent season of The Amazing Race, and after we all saw Leo's Dexcom in one of the first episodes, he came on this show to share his story. Leo lives with congenital hyperinsulinism, where the body makes too much insulin, and he had almost his entire pancreas removed. He told me at the time he was amazed by the diabetes community's support. So I just want to say congrats to him and to Alana, and to help welcome baby Kit Edwin Folsom. On this week's long format episode, Lori Harper shares her story. Lori was diagnosed as a toddler back in 1955. She is in the Jocelyn Medalist study, and she talks about the difference this incredible group is making. Next week, you'll hear from world champion kayaker Sage Donnelly. She was diagnosed with type 1 at age 3, and she'd already been kayaking at that point for a year. It's a great story, and she's got a lot of terrific practical advice for diabetes and water sports, and just some interesting stuff about the pressures of being an Olympic-level athlete. It was really great talking to her. You can listen wherever you get your podcasts, wherever you're listening to this one. And before I let you go, I just want to thank you for listening. I'm sorry about my voice. It sounds a little rough this week. I'm fighting really bad allergies. It's not a pretty picture, which is why I did not do a video version on social media of this week. And a quick note, next week, we will not have an In the News episode at all. As I said, we'll be talking to Sage. That's Tuesday's episode is coming out, no problem. But I'm traveling next week. So unless there is really breaking news, we're not going to have In the News live on social or next Friday as a podcast episode. So I will just see you back here on Tuesday for Sage's episode, and then the following Tuesday, and we'll be back to our regular schedule. So thank you. That is In the News for this week. If you like it, please share it. I will see you back here pretty soon. Hopefully, I'll be feeling a little bit better by then. Until then, be kind to yourself.
Diabetes Connections is a production of Stacey Sims Media. All rights reserved, all wrongs avenged.